by saying that I've heard some of my Republican colleagues talk about free market capitalism. Mr. Mabrouk, isn't the entire pharmaceutical industry based on government-granted monopoly power? And Mr. Amir, you may want to also speak to that. What does that have to do with free market capitalism if the government is guaranteeing monopoly for many, many years?
Well, precisely, Senator. Prices are high because drug makers have monopolies over products we can't just substitute. A patient can't just say, "I'll take this alternative." The patents block them from having affordable access. So that is a monopoly, not a market system. American taxpayers stand up the world's largest and most productive funder of biomedical R&D at NIH, and it's we the people that found the risk that we the people that support the risky early stage research that has led to such significant medical breakthroughs in the areas of mRNA, cancer, heart disease, gene therapy.
In other words, the government has played a very active role in the entire process, Mr. Amin. What about free market capitalism and monopoly?
Well, I mean, it's the Constitution grants Congress the power to promote the progress of science and useful arts, securing for limited times a right to their inventions. What we have now is a system where the patent system is not a limited time, it's a monopoly that gets extended. And when we think about the free markets and the principles of capitalism, it's interesting, Senator Paul mentioned Milton Friedman. In fact, the neoliberals actually didn't like monopoly power, and they really did actually believe in the free market, but the fact that the intellectual property system, patents, has been corrupted by the modern pharmaceutical system to kind of extend those monopolies actually goes against the principles of free market. So in a sense, they're not living up to the bargain of the free market.
Okay. Mr. Lakdawala, what do you think about free market capitalism and government protection of monopolies?
Thank you, Chairman. Well, truly free markets exist only on the whiteboard in my classroom at USC, first of all. But it's also true that without patent protection, there would be no innovation. That's a result that's been known in economics for centuries. So the real question is, how do we balance patent protection, which induces innovation, against the value of new innovations and being able to broadcast them more widely after the end of a patent? And that trade-off can be tricky, although in the case of pharmaceuticals, we have a useful instrument, which is health insurance, and that allows patients to access drugs at much lower prices than what manufacturers receive, even during the patent period. And that's an opportunity for us to expand accessibility even during the patent protection period.
Thanks very much. All right, my last question for all three of you is, I believe you all heard the CEO's testimony in response to questions. What would you say, briefly, about their responses? Do they, in fact, effectively address the issue as to why we pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs and why 1 out of 3 people can't afford the medicine their doctors prescribe? Just, sir.
Well, Senator, we heard some wild stuff up here this morning, including a lot of blaming middlemen for the problem of high prices. Look, drug makers' high prices are the whole reason that we have a middleman problem. It's because we have exceedingly high prices at the outset that there's an attractive market for middlemen to enter. But the fish rots from the head. If you break up the market, if you look at where the revenue is, drug makers capture 2/3, $323 billion. Pharmacy benefit managers are a small slice, $23 billion. So you can't fix the problem of the pharmaceutical industry by going off middlemen who are just trying to skim off the top. You have to get to the root of the problem, which is the monopoly power.
Mr. Amin?
I agree with what Peter says, and I would just add that some of the answers that these CEOs gave, for example, the Merck CEO about allowing biosimilar competition in when their primary patents end, I believe that is not going to happen. I think if you look at all the patents that they've stacked up, they know what their game plan is. You just have to look at what happened with Humira and AbbVie. Similarly, I believe you just look at what's happening with these weight loss drugs. We're looking at the patents on those now. These are potentially going to become $1 trillion drugs.
They need to take action soon. Congress is expected to pass a major bill. This comes as the government faces a shutdown in just a few weeks. But some experts say, with little progress so far, millions of Americans should prepare for a shutdown. My dear friends, I'll be going over the latest news on this from Congress. So please make sure that you watch until the end of this video. Also, every Friday, I will be announcing several winners for the Walmart gift card giveaway. If you would like to enter the weekly giveaway, friends, do make sure that you click and like several of my videos and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you watch and then comment on, friends, the greater your chances of winning the giveaways. The clock is ticking yet again for congressional lawmakers to find a way to avoid a government shutdown. House and Senate leaders came together in mid-January to pass a short-term extension of last year's government spending levels, which is known as a continuing resolution, to give themselves more time to hash out a deal for the remainder of fiscal year 2024. It was a third continuing resolution passed since the previous fiscal year ended on September 30th and preserved funding for some agencies through March 1st and others through March 8th. The House left for an extended weekend on Wednesday and is not due back until Tuesday. The Senate was in session last week, but it's expected to be on recess next week. That recess may be interrupted for work on a foreign aid package outside of the regular discretionary government spending debate. So as things stand right now, the House and Senate are only expected to be in session at the same time for 2 more days this month. One House GOP leadership aide said of the government spending fight, "We are doing nothing on that right now, just fighting the battles in front of us. At this point, we had to know this was going to be the outcome. The floor is nearly impossible to navigate." Another senior House GOP aide said, "The fact that we have not passed any appropriation bills in months, as we're barreling towards another shutdown, is beyond alarming. We know the deadline is in less than a month, but we're governing like the deadline is years away. If they fail to either extend current funding levels or reach an agreement on new levels, the government could fall into a partial shutdown, with federal programs on pause and thousands of federal workers potentially furloughed." On the House side, Republicans have spent much of last month on a push to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, which culminated in a failed vote this week, though House Speaker Mike Johnson vowed to hold another attempt. So, dear friends, what are your thoughts about what's going on in our federal government? Please let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Top economists released a new forecast on Friday, suggesting that worries about a recession in the first half of 2024 have significantly decreased. In the first quarter, there is now only a 17.3% chance of negative economic growth. That is down from 40.9% in the previous survey. Typically, the risk of recession is approximately 15%. For the April to June quarter, the chance of negative growth has dropped from 40.2% to 23.9%, and for the last 2 quarters of the year, it's around 25%, slightly lower than the previous survey. The Philadelphia Federal Reserve's Survey of Professional Forecasters, which has been conducted since 1968, indicates a positive outlook for the economy this quarter. The forecasters predict a slight expansion in the January to March quarter. That's up from the previous expectation of 0.8%. The labor market is expected to remain strong, with a forecasted unemployment rate of 4% by the end of the year, slightly up from 3.7% in January, but lower than the prior estimate of 4.2%. According to CNN News, Fed officials have been complaining about data revisions to key economic reports lately. Fed Governor Christopher Waller said late last year, "We have to make decisions in real time. Whatever data is released, that's the data I have to use. Problem with data is it gets revised. That wouldn't necessarily be so much of an issue if the revisions, which can come months after initial reports are released, were relatively small. However, many revisions over the past few years have been game changers. Some of the biggest revisions came from the monthly jobs report, where often the initial number of jobs added is vastly different from the final revised figures. Well, my awesome and amazing friends, that is the end of my daily stimulus update video for today. My dear friends, thank you so much for being part of this community. I will be announcing several winners for the Walmart gift card giveaway every Friday. If you would like to enter the weekly giveaway, friends, do make sure that you click and like several of my videos and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you comment on, friends, the greater your chances of winning these giveaways. Thank you, and have a wonderful and very blessed week.